And if I had to be another person to stand up, if I think after really going through this and looking at the files and looking at the case, if I really feel that Karen Reed didn't do this and I have to be a voice that stands up and helps, I will.
We are expecting to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
We're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
Now, just be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life.
Yeah.
I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question. She asked a question, which is very different. She didn't admit to anything.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Karen Reed's not going to fold. Karen Reed's not going to give up. Defense team's not going to quit. The Free Karen Reed movement is going to continue. We will continue to raise funds for her. We will continue to do standouts across Massachusetts, across the nation, across the world to let everybody know what's going on here in the state of Massachusetts, the corruption. And we will continue to get the word out there. Believe me. Believe me. All right, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back here to Let's Talk Live. Guess who's beside me today? Look at, she's back. She's back. Lauren DC's back. And guess what? It is her birthday. Well, yesterday was your birthday. Yesterday was her birthday, but she's back here live in the studio for the, excuse me, Super Sunday show. I just got choked up here, but I'm not alone because I have two really great people that are just on that other side of that table. Just on that other side of the table. I want people to guess in the chat.
Let's see.
Who do you think is live here in the studio with us today? We'll wait a second here. We're going to wait a second here.
We got two.
Yeah, let's we got two people. Who do you think is live here in the studio with us today? We'll wait a second. Just wait for the chat to come up. But I hope everybody's having a phenomenal. So we got Tom and Mike. Someone said Tom and Mike. They think it's Tom and Mike. Let's see. We got Mazza. Who else do you think? Nan and Mazza. Kelly Reed. Todd.
Tom and Mike.
Yes. Comment says I can't guess because I know. Mazza and Nan.
Hey,
Mazza
Lauren.
and Todd.
Nurse Kim.
Todd. We got a lot of Mazza because they know Mazza. I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna let anybody wait too much longer. Let's just bring them in. Let's just bring them up on stage. Look at this. Brit happens and Mazza Media live here in the studio today. It's good to see everybody here, all the way up from Florida and hanging out here. Brit, you were out at the standout in Dedham today. How was that?
That's right. It was really, really great. The weather was perfect.
Yes.
I couldn't even. I stopped counting the number of spirited honkers. Too. There were quite a few. It was great to see that much support for Karen. Met some awesome people. Got to put a face to a lot of names too. There's so many who I've had the opportunity to talk to online, but you know, I gave them all a hug for the first time today. So that was great.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Al says in the chat, he says, excellent guests for sure. I completely agree. We were trying to debate the title here.
Yeah.
We're trying to debate the title over Lauren and Mazza, like who has the most appearances. I think it's still, I think it's still Mazza.
I think Mazza's
It's still Mazza, but yeah,
Well,
we got the red. And Olaf says we got the red solo cups on set. We are. We're drinking out of the red solo cups today because we know this is a bullshit case. And by the way, Brit's birthday is on Tuesday.
It is.
Yes.
And we're both turning the same age.
Both 32. So
Speaking of that, so today, in honor of our 32nd birthday,
yes,
we want to raise some funds for Karen, but also you wanted to talk about something else we want to raise
I
money
do.
for today.
I do also. So we have two things that we would like to see everybody try to donate if you can. Why don't you talk about Karen's defense?
Okay.
And let the audience know about that, and then I'll talk about
Okay.
someone here that that needs our help right now. So
yeah. So we are looking to raise some money for Karen's Defense Fund today. And if you could donate either $32 or $3.20 or whatever you want,
We'll
more
take
or less.
$320.
320 would be great.
I mean, I would love to raise at least 320, but whatever you can donate today, if you could just go to the Defense Fund page and make sure you write something in there about Lauren DC birthday, Britt Happens birthday. And we're going to just keep track and get some funds for Karen today.
Yeah.
So.
We'll try to raise some money today. By the way, I just want to do this before we kind of get into the heart of the show. And I also want to talk about this because this has been something that's near and dear to my heart. Nanette Smith, she's a Free Karen Read supporter. She is constantly out at Standout. She was all through the entire first trial. I saw her out there constantly. Huge supporter here of LTL Media and all these other phenomenal creators that are in the room today too. So Nanette had some surgery the other day, cancer surgery, and she had a minor setback in her recovery, and she needs some help right now. So if you can, if it's in your heart, again, it'd be great if you could donate to both.
Both, yeah.
Both would be great. But I'm going to drop Nanette's link in the chat, and if you can donate to Nanette, we really would appreciate that today as well too. Yeah. Again, she's had some minor setbacks from her surgery the other day, and is actually back in the hospital right now as we speak. So
she has some more surgeries she has to have after the couple too. So she really needs some help right now.
So if anybody please can donate, I would appreciate it. So, okay, well, here we are. We're up on the big stage here. We've gotten through week 1 and week 2, started into week 2 of the Karen Read trial. They've heard from me the most. I want to hear from you guys today. How are we feeling? What do you think so far? I'll go to Mazda first, and then I'll get Britt's take on this.
Well, let's well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show.
Of course.
My heart and prayers are with Nanette right now, and her entire friends, all her friends, family, all that. And again, my heart and prayers with the Reed family as well right now, having to be dragged through a second trial, a retrial, which is a dog and pony show once again with more witnesses than you can possibly imagine. I just feel like they have way too many witnesses, and at this point, you know what? Happy birthday, Lauren.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Britt, as well.
Thank you,
Put that out
Mike.
there on the show. But yeah, this retrial is a total charade once again. And they have too many witnesses. But I would say this, the defense has already won. And I'd be shocked at this point if the jury is not already catching the drift in a matter of, I mean, it doesn't take that long. It's like anything. If you tune into a movie, literally in the first 3 to 5 minutes, you can already tell if you're engaged in the movie or not. It's the same thing when you're sitting on a jury. You're seeing what's happening. You're seeing the direct examination. You're seeing the cross-examination. And the prosecution, once again, is trying to make their best argument with their witnesses. And then you have the defense get up there, and they pick them apart. And basically flip it on their head. Flipper head reference, maybe. My guy. But that's exactly what's happening here. And it's, again, it's just ridiculousness. And Jen was... I'll say this: Jen was a lot more well prepared than she was this time by Hank Brennan than she was by Adam Lally.
She was very well coached.
They kept her a lot more contained, a lot more condensed, a lot less argumentative, and she was well coached for her answers. Now, that's not an opinion on whether or not she's telling the truth or lying, of course, but that is just to say that she was a lot more contained and well prepared by Hank Brennan. Now, I still think that the defense did a great job of calling a lot to be questioned here, which is what needs to be done. Questions about timelines, questions about consistencies, questions about why she's talking to the police. If she is in shock, she's calmly talking into the police. These were all things that were highlighted. And I had a friendly debate with someone recently. You know, this just proves why Jen goes to jail. I said, well, right now we're not really focused on who's lying and who should be perjured as much as we're focused on Karen Read being acquitted and the defense establishing reasonable doubt to get Karen acquitted, because that's all that really matters at this point in time. If someone may or may not have perjured themselves, if someone is or is not lying, regardless of that, ultimately this is all about Karen. It's Karen that's sitting on the hot seat right now, truly, and it's about the defense establishing that reasonable doubt as much as they possibly can. And to that point, before I defer,
of course.
You know, I don't want to hold up Brett too much.
Oh, no.
She's probably very eager to go talk to. You know, this is about reasonable doubt at the end of the day. This is about Karen at the end of the day. And this is about the defense essentially picking apart these key witnesses for the Commonwealth and basically trying to make whatever eyewitness testimony they have or whatever
Yeah.
they want to present and making it as irrelevant as possible. I think the defense is succeeding on that. Same thing with Nuttall, Kerry Roberts, and other people that have been on that stand so far. The defense has done a bang-up job, an incredible job at doing this, and I'm very much looking forward to how they continue to do this throughout the trial. It's going to be way too long once again. We're looking at probably 10
It's going to
weeks
be a long
or more.
trial.
It is.
It should be about 6 or 8 weeks tops, in my opinion. I think the Commonwealth has a lot of repetitive witnesses that maybe, one witness saw it from this angle, one witness was 4 feet over and saw the same exact thing. It's like, can we cut this down a little bit and get this over in 8 weeks? And I don't imagine the judge wouldn't mind that either, so she can continue, on with Cape Cod during the summertime.
Dude, was she out of there on Friday? Like, it was 3:30 when she called it the other day. Mr. Unetti, you get 5 more minutes. I'm like, it's 3:35. Where do you need to go? Got to beat the Cape traffic.
Gotta pick up some White Claw on the way.
Right.
Seaside Cottage.
She kind of cracks me up in that sense where it's kind of like you just see her sit down. She's got her legs crossed, she's sitting back in her chair, and she's like, I just want to go to Cape Cod.
Did you see the photo of her sleeping the other day?
I saw that one.
Brett, what do you think?
She's
week
given
1,
a
week
lot
2.
of audible sighs too. Audible.
Sigh.
Well, one thing I'll say is, it's very clear that the Commonwealth's theory has evolved from this. And one thing that we need to remember is when they were selecting the jury for this trial, they had to work with people who, to some extent, had heard of this case. So, I believe that most of the jurors who were selected, it was based on follow-up questions, not have you or have you not heard of this case, but more, have you already formed an opinion? Are you still able, even though you've heard about this case, are you still able to weigh the evidence in a way that is unbiased? So
have an open mind.
So they very may well likely have heard of the last theory by the Commonwealth. And so they're seeing the changes that were made. They probably watched Jen before she got her highlights done.
And her spray tan.
Right. Oh, yeah. And I mean, she is being represented by Kevin Reddington, who is very, very effective. He did a great job with coaching her. I'm guessing it was him who did the coaching, because when she was asked directly if Hank coached her, she said, no, I'm guessing it was Reddington. But that being said, I don't believe for a second that the entire jury has been fooled. Because they've seen this evolution over time from the past trial to today. So I'm confident that with the first couple of weeks that we've had, with the way that they've been able to poke those holes in every Commonwealth witness so far, especially Ian Whiffen, that was so effective. I was so glad to see Robert Alessi make his court debut. This was the first time that he got to the pulpit for this trial. So it wasn't the first time that we all had seen him, but it was certainly the first time the jury saw him in that courtroom, just going to town. And I've started calling him the Alessinator.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, Whiffen got Alessinated the other day. I was very, very proud to see that. Like I felt a beam of pride in my heart. He's just, how do you not love Alessi? He's so adorable.
He is very adorable.
And he's exactly the same way as he is in the courtroom in person. I've got to meet him quite a few times. He's the same way. Before I go to you, Lauren, if you guys are all just checking in today, our guest in studio guest today, of course, that man over there, that's Mark Mazzamedia, and we have Brit Happens. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, you can at Brit Happens, right?
It's just Brit Happens.
Brit Happens.
Brit has 2 T's.
Okay, Brit has 2 T's, and then obviously we have Mazzamedia. I'm usually pretty good at it. Mazzamedia in studio. Lauren, what do you think? Week 1, week 2. What's some highlights that kind of popped out in your mind?
So I was trying to catch as much as I could live, like at work, on my work breaks and stuff like that, and then I would catch up at night. But I think that it was interesting that they're not going to bring Paul up again. And I think we can all kind of understand maybe why. And I think you and I had talked about this before, but I'm just disgusted that they called Peggy O'Keefe up there. I mean, I understand their logic behind it as far as, a sympathy witness and getting people to feel bad. But I just think it was horrible to put her through that, and I think it was disrespectful. And the first witness, Nuttall, I thought that it was creative of Hank to kind of set the scene and the way he explained things. I think that their intro was definitely different than the first trial and their opening. But, of course, listening to Jen McCabe lie through her teeth. And I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. And then what did she keep saying? Oh, even if you show me the transcripts, like it's not going to jog my memory. Yeah. But it's funny because she had a crystal clear memory when Hank was asking her questions.
Right.
Yep. And it's funny. We went to a show last night. We did. We went to the True Crime Junkies podcast
Thank you,
live.
Romy.
Yes, thank you so much. And they specifically started talking about how memory doesn't get better over time. And we kept looking at each other and we're like, isn't it funny how the Commonwealth witnesses' memory gets better over time,
I'll be
though?
Darned. Look at that.
So I think it's been interesting to see the differences between the first and the second trial so far. Yeah.
Why don't you let everybody know what we're doing for Karen Reed's Defense Fund today?
Okay.
Yep.
So yesterday was my birthday and Tuesday is Britt's birthday. We're both 32 this year. So we want to raise some funds today in honor of our birthdays for Karen. So if you are able to donate anything you can, but in honor of our birthday, $32 or $3.20. We're going to tally it all up at the end, but also we would really like if we could raise some money for Nanette as well today. So either if you could donate to both or, choose one or the other, but we're trying to raise some funds for those people.
If you want to read those off, what we got in so far.
All right. Is this the first one?
Yep. Right here. It starts with yours.
Yep. I did my donation. And then
we have
Britt did hers for our birthday. Anonymous, thank you so much. Sending love to you, Karen, Lauren DC, Britt Happens.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Yeah, thank you. Another Anonymous. LTL Media Fundraiser for Lauren DC and Britt Happens. Happy birthday. Thank you.
So we have three $32 ones, and then we have one at $3.02. You can do that as well.
$99.02.
Yeah. $99.02. Look at it, you already had it.
Wow. Yeah.
The human computer. The human computer.
No, math was not my strong subject.
Computer.
So there you go.
So I want to go back to Jennifer McCabe, and I was watching. I've been going back and watching her testimonies through trial 1 and trial 2, and to Lauren's credit, and we've talked about this a lot too, is that I find it very interesting that when she's on direct, her mind is just so crystal clear, and she can remember everything. And she just keeps saying, well, the one thing that I know for sure is that Karen said 3 times, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. But then when you get Alan Jackson up there and he's asking her, tough questions and having her to explain, she needs to go back. I got to look at the transcript. I got to look at the text messages. It was just such a chaotic scene. I really don't remember what I said to each officer. I don't really remember.
The Schwachen horror.
The Schwachen horror.
It's just shock this time.
Yeah, it is actually just shock this time. Trauma. It's trauma now. Yeah. Now it's trauma. But I find her story in her testimony, in my opinion, complete bullshit. And it goes down to a lot of telling things through all this. Yeah. You say that John O'Keefe was one of your best friends. My friend is dying out in the cold. Okay, then why are you picking up you're calling 911 and you're literally just saying a man down in the snow? Yeah. Why are you not saying Boston police officer? Why are you not saying police officer? Why are you not saying my best friend John O'Keefe? My best friend Boston police officer John O'Keefe?
Yes.
Complete bullshit. I don't believe a minute of this shit. I don't believe that she can't remember. Oh, I can't remember it now. I don't know what I said to what officer. It's bullshit. Go ahead, Britt.
And then to piggyback off of that, she was only using the materials available to her in Carrie Roberts' car.
Yeah.
When she could have at any point gone inside, gotten somebody who is trained in CPR.
Yep. Brian Albert.
Who is
a first responder,
Gulf War vet, and a first responder who was trained to be able to help. She didn't do that. There were warmer, drier blankets in that house. They could have, I don't know, maybe moved Officer O'Keefe into the house too, where it's a little bit warmer than 18 degrees outside. So, you know, she could have done any of that, used any of those resources that were inside of 34 Fairview. And instead, she was only working with what was in the trunk of Carrie Roberts' car.
Right.
That tells me a lot. And I think that's going to tell the jury a lot.
And that I'm supposed to believe you that you have time by yourself with Karen Reed. And she says, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Okay. And I'm supposed to believe you because you're the only one that was there. Bullshit. Jury's not buying it. Jury's not buying it. I don't think so.
And Google hypothermia too.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
Crazy.
These are all fantastic points. And to add on to all these points is that argument that Alan Jackson made. He goes, could you think of anybody that does have the expertise that could be, you know, more certified in CPR, certified and on the scene, you know, factors in terms of resuscitating someone or aiding someone. These points about actually taking him in the house might have been something that could have been on the table as well by the defense. Now, regardless of that, you know, Hank Brennan tried to counter by saying, well, none of the other neighbors actually came out of their house, right?
Yeah. Well, there's photos from that night. We've seen it.
From that house over there with the lights. Yeah, there is. So they tried to kind of go around that way. But there's an issue with just everything, which is the fact that regardless of the testimony by Jen on the stand this past week, there was earlier in her cross-examination, they had brought up the fact that she had entered the 34 Fairview Road herself with an unlocked door. Had entered the house. He asked about where Chloe was or Chloe was not, why Chloe did or did not bark. Obviously, was Chloe there or not remains a mystery, right? Or debated. And then you have her entering the bedroom. You know, entering the bedroom while they were sleeping in the middle of the morning.
All quiet though. I didn't want to disturb them.
Let them think anything bad.
Bad had happened. Nothing nefarious going on.
I don't want them to think something bad happened, even though there's a dying person
there's a dead
on their
man
lawn.
on your front lawn.
Right. Exactly. And then, you know, beyond that,
because they already knew. That's why
they got her on the stand to admit that she did go in their house. But at the point where they brought it back to, well, when there was a body laying on the lawn, why didn't you just knock on the door? Now, in any kind of emergency situation, I don't want to reference a personal example, but once I was in an emergency situation about 16 years ago involving my family, and I kind of took charge and I started deferring duties to people. You do this, you call 911, you do this. It was a fire situation. I guess I'll just level people. You do this, you do that. I ended up putting it down with an extinguisher. It was resolved. But I deferred to someone to call 911. Wake up someone, you know, just I deferred. And in this situation, whether or not her testimony is that she wanted to make sure that John was safe and sound, she could have deferred to somebody else knocking on that door. She could have suggested,
Carrie,
Karen,
run to the door.
Knock
on the door.
Well, we're waiting. We're waiting for the police. So, not, you know, the defense again. It's not a matter of fully incriminating Jen or saying, Jen, you did wrong. It's a matter of creating reasonable doubt. And that reasonable doubt is that the defense is trying to establish that John was killed inside the house, then left for dead on the front lawn. And by bringing into question the fact that at no time while they called the Canton Police Department to have them alerted to the scene, did they at any point try to knock on the door of that particular homeowner who they knew for a fact. It's just like anything. You know, I don't expect them to know every person in that neighborhood and what their qualifications are or not. But for a fact, they did know who lived in that house and what his qualifications were. And when it comes to emergency situations, I mean, he is quite literally the police off duty, but he is still the police. So it just, again, this is not about, again, trying to incriminate these people or call them liars, as it is trying to establish reasonable doubt, which is what this jury's focus needs to be on, which is, again, reasonable doubt. Why didn't they knock on that door? And I hope he uses that in his closing testimony as well. And I expect that Alan Jackson will.
And to kind of piggyback off of that, I've been trained in CPR for years because of my job, and they teach you to delegate. Like, you do this, you do that. And so a first responder like Brian Albert would also have that training. And the thing that I found funny about Jen's testimony is she said their door was unlocked.
No way.
There's no way. He was a Gulf War veteran. He was a Boston police officer. People who have that type of history tend to be more paranoid and more, hyper vigilant. And even in a neighborhood that's safe, like my parents, they live in a very safe neighborhood, but I would never leave my house unlocked, period.
It's the good habit.
That to me,
they must have locked the door after they brought him out to the front lawn.
Well, I'm thinking they left the door open because they were awake and they just weren't thinking about it, or because they knew Jen was going to come in the house and they wouldn't have been able to get in without it being unlocked.
And let me
Maybe.
say this too. Someone like Brian Albert, you use a 30-foot pole to wake him up, because I come from a family of military, and whether or not they've seen combat, the training that they've gone through, they're always on alert. They never sleep deeply. And if you're going to wake that person up, the whole I sneaked into the room and went to wake him up gently. No, he would have woken up swinging. And I can speak from experience, having woken up family members, and they get up so abruptly. So that whole story that came from Jen, there's absolutely no way. And what I'm looking forward to from the defense witness list is all of these other people who are going to come forward and attest to the history of Brian's violent tendencies and Chloe's violent tendencies, having put two people in the hospital, having tried to take the life of another dog. So we're going to hear a lot more about the evidence that this could have been someone else.
And you've got to tell me that you have a canine, a German Shepherd, that probably has some of the most acute hearing, because that's what they're trained for, knowing that he's a police officer. I'm sure the dogs had some police training. You know, maybe he took it through some bases. Again, I don't know. I'm just speculating here.
And that's what it's bred for, too.
And you can't tell me that that dog would not jump up hearing screaming outside or a fire truck or an ambulance pulling up. I know from experience, I've dated women with dogs before, and literally you can fart outside and the dog will jump up at the window and look what's going on. I mean, I'm serious. Dogs, that's why people buy dogs, to alert you to what's going on outside. And you're going to tell me that Chloe never jumped up and it alerted you at anything. You didn't hear the dog bark. You didn't hear the dog move. You didn't hear it jump. Fucking possible. Impossible.
And someone walking through the house. Jen, went right in.
Why is that dog not running to the door?
Yeah. And even if the dog is familiar with her, being, a distant family member, well, not distant, but, being the sister of the homeowner, but she's not part of Chloe's inner circle, so to speak. She's someone who pops by here and there that Chloe's familiar with. But the second Jen McCabe walked through that door, like you said, a dog is a home security system that you can snuggle. That's just the only difference. So Chloe absolutely would have reacted to Jen walking in that house, as well as the lights and sirens and all that.
But that's why people get dogs, because they put in-home security in, so their cameras and maybe some sensors on the door. But then they get a dog because the dog is the first alert. The dog is going to first alert you. They have better hearing than humans. It's going to hear that. So I find that just impossible, hearing that in the first trial. And I can't wait. And it's probably going to be Alan Jackson that goes at that Brian Albert again and say, you got to tell me that your dog didn't jump up. I find that impossible.
Especially a German Shepherd.
Which gives us 2 points of argument here. Either number one, the dog reacted and woke them all up. Number two, dog was already gone.
Dog was already gone.
I think it's number two.
Dog was already gone. It's a good point. Because I don't know. What do you say? I don't know where it was. Maybe you sleep in the closet. I don't know. I didn't hear anything. So you put your dog in the closet?
Yeah, who does that?
Yeah. Or maybe the dog was put in the closet.
But you would still hear the dog, though. If you put the dog in the closet and the dog starts barking,
you're going to hear it.
Still
the dog's going to be clawing at the door.
Yeah.
Well, we had closet baby. Now we have closet Chloe.
I mean, I couldn't even leave the house today to get out here without my cat crying up a storm. My cat is not a security dog. He's just a cat. He's crying up a storm before I leave. Protesting all the way to the door. Don't you leave me.
Why don't you let everybody know what we're doing today? I just dropped the link, Karen Reed's defense fund link in there.
So we're asking for donations, either like $32 or $3.20, or really anything at all, even $1, in honor of me and Britt's birthday this week. We both are turning 32. But also we would love it if you would consider donating to Nanette's meal train. She's going through some complications from her cancer surgery, and she really needs our support right now. So one or the other, or if you're able to, you could donate to both.
And it looks like we got a couple more, or
Right.
one more that just came in, $5. That's from Lieber in Seattle. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
From the LTL stream. So right now we have about, what we got in?
98.
Yeah. 104.
104.2.
104.02 right now. Awesome.
104.
Good stuff.
think
Good
so.
stuff. Let's see. So who do you think is going to be the next one? I think it's going to be Brian Albert next after the,
Maybe.
well, they're going to bring the
They have to-
MSP.
They have to finish her.
Right.
I don't think they quite wrapped her
Yeah.
up.
Well,
No.
David Yanni got 5 minutes the other day because
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
3:35 and we
Yeah.
got to go.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
She
Gotta
needs
get
to
my
get to the
White
Cape.
Claw and
Yeah.
head to the Cape.
Yeah.
but I think the next, like family witness is going to be Brian Albert. I think so.
I agree.
What do you think, Mazza?
It could be. I don't know if it might be Matt McCabe too, which
Could
might
be.
Maybe.
Was that
possibly
that order?
on him.
Was that the order last time?
He was somewhere near her, I believe.
Yeah.
I can't
Mhm.
recall now, but I don't recall.
I don't recall.
No.
I see what you
No.
did.
I do
I'm
not
looking
recall.
forward. I'm looking forward to all. I mean, the Alberts, the McCabes, those are always the witnesses I want to see, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
obviously a lot of the troopers like Michael Proctor. Those are some of the people I'm most looking forward to seeing on the stand because I just think, like I said, I think with this trial, the people that you considered, like last year's trial was interesting to see everybody no matter who they were.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, who's this? What are they gonna?
We didn't know what they were going to
Right.
say.
Now this year, it's like, okay, this is the boring person from last year. I don't mean boring
Yeah,
as in
yeah.
boring necessarily, boring as in they have nothing to really bring to the table in terms of juice or meat,
Mhm.
in terms of story.
Yeah.
But this, as I said, last year's boring witnesses are going to be even more boring this time because now it's the second time through, and last year's big witnesses are going to be even bigger and more interesting and entertaining. I don't use entertaining, but engaging
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah.
Because you're going to want to compare to what they said last year, and you're seeing a lot of that. Microdots did a lot of videos.
Joe Fliphead's been doing it.
Same
Microdots.
thing, yeah.
Yeah. They've really been nailing that
Comparisons.
down. The comparisons are unbelievable.
And go ahead, bro.
No, I was just saying it's unbelievable. And
Yeah.
and just looking at the lives. The thing that I love about all of this though is that I think the sword and stone all of this is that grand jury testimony.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
you just go right back to the grand jury testimony that's only a couple of months out from the whole incident.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what Alan Jackson is nailing things down to. And he keeps reminding them, you took the oath in front of the grand jury. That's a major thing. If you
Yeah.
lie to the grand jury, you lie under oath. That's a major thing. Go ahead,
And
Britt.
legally speaking, the only way that a defendant can get an indictment is
Mhm.
from a grand jury.
Jury.
So if
Good
you
point.
can show as a defense
Yeah.
team that there was enough false information provided to a grand jury
Mm.
to, cause that indictment, then either you can get an appeal easily
Yeah.
or you can get an acquittal
Yeah.
very easily.
And I love the fact that Jackson, again, we've seen him about 80% of the time right now, but he keeps bringing that up.
Mhm.
Grand jury, grand jury, grand jury. And it's all great. This is all on the record. And it goes
Yep.
to that appellate process if they need to use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, and when we were talking off air on this,
Mhm.
this is not going to, it's not going to hold up. This
No.
charge is never going to hold up. The bitch of it is if Karen does get convicted and hopefully never, ever, she
She
shouldn't
won't.
be.
Yeah.
She won't.
I don't
She
think
won't.
so.
But I'm just saying,
I know.
the hypothetical scenario
Yep,
here.
yep.
Okay. The bitch of it is it takes a little while to get into that appellate process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, it might be a year or two or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Which is what's driving.
she's not going to get convicted.
Which is what's stressing us all out about this is that you just kind of want, we've talked about this a lot. We talked about this a year ago. We've all talked about this. Phase one is getting Karen, regardless of anybody being pursued legally, feds, whatever you want to talk about. The number one priority here is to get Karen acquitted on all the
Yes.
charges. And the number one frustration right now is here we all are a year later,
Yeah.
Mhm.
hoping for Karen to fight her way through
Yep.
all this stuff and just get out of this whole situation. But the second burden here is that what if it all ends the same way it did last year with
Right.
another mistrial, another hung
my
jury, if they
God.
rigged the whole thing? Who knows? And at this point, I don't have any positive view or negative view about any of this. I am basically on a constant state of suspicious alertness for
Yeah.
about anything. And
Mhm.
until I hear not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, I'm sitting there stone faced
Yep.
throughout this whole process right
Yeah.
now because we learned last year what could possibly happen. And Alan Jackson and that attorney team took that fight right in that courtroom right after jury deliberation began last year and questioned that verdict slip.
Yeah.
And until I see this thing it's almost like in my mind, I by comparison to most people, I just feel like for me, I'm less engaged in terms of what people are saying that are witnesses that I don't trust, obviously, than I am just my mind's already just thinking 10 weeks ahead right now.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like regardless of whatever happens in court, it's like a Lakers Celtics game or a Brady Manning game. It's going down to the fourth quarter. It's going down to the last minute. It's just a matter of who's going to get that final score and win the game. But but throughout it's going to be like this. But my mind is so far down the road right now, just waiting for this thing to get to the end to see how it all ends. Because again, all this could be all for naught, like it was last year. Like last year, we're waiting. Okay, Karen, a lot of us had a lot of confidence. I know I did, that this whole thing was going to be not guilty all the way down. And then we got to the end of it. You and I were outside when it came down last year, and it was, I'm declaring a mistrial. And I'll tell you right now, it's this is probably why I'm a little bit disengaged in some sense this time around, because I'm just a little bit concerned right now that this might be a situation that could end this way. But something inside my mind tells me this is probably going to end good for Karen with not guilties across
I think
the board.
so too.
I just think that the defense, as they get to their portion where they direct examine their witnesses, really try to hone in on our alcohol level. Because I'm not trying to be like a Monday morning quarterback here, but I believe I might have said a few times last year, number 2 was the count that I thought that the jury might be more debating more, or might get caught up on more than the rest. Because I thought 1 and 3 kind of went hand in hand, and I thought that they'd probably decide that outright. And then number 2, I was like, I figured they'd get tangled, but I didn't think it would end. They would get tangled to the point where they couldn't make a functional decision. But I think they need, and I'm not no one to tell the defense what to do, because I think the defense knows exactly what to do, and they did the great job last time, regardless of the result. They did a great job last time, and they should have. The defense earned an outright acquittal last time. Just things got snaggled or tangled that kind of cost them. But I want them to at some point really focus on that second count when they get their turn to direct examine, obviously, and just bring up points like, Karen left the waterfall and she drove the 34 Fairview. No reports of crashing in any vehicles, nothing. She drove there. Then she drove the One Meadow, no incident. And one more point before I defer out here is just the fact that, John's body being left out in the cold as long as it did. The point was to keep John's body out there as long as possible, right? In our theory. Now, we talked about in this studio moments ago about the fact that they could have knocked on the door, potentially even brought John's body into that house to get him warm, put him in the best, or get extra blankets, right? Warm blankets at the very least. None of that was done. There was something brought up by Alan Jackson at some point during cross-examination of Jen this past week that basically suggested, why not meet up with Karen at a sooner time? Why have Karen? I think it was Karen had to go there. Then they went out and it kind of expanded the time on the search
to get there.
He didn't say this of Jen when he cross-examined her this time, but he did say it last time. If you were driving by and Karen Reed didn't point out that his body was on that front lawn, you wouldn't have stopped. That was one of the things he emphasized this time. He didn't do it this time. I don't know if it's by design or if he didn't think about it, but either way, they made their point ultimately. That I think that the point was, in any theory we have that we believe that these individuals were involved in ensuring the death of John O'Keefe, that would have been one of their tactics, is to delay the time that he's outside, because we know that there was a Google search done at 2:27, and we believe this, that was searched for, and that's just generally not the conspiracy, the belief of the cover-up is that that's what happened. And that fight at 2:27 seemed to be one of the most hostile points in the cross-examination once again. And even the judge was giving him a hard time. They put the thing on the screen over there, and the judge was even arguing, well, that's not the whole thing. And he goes, yes, it is, or that shouldn't be included. They were getting back and forth on that. But I argue this. There's just no way. I mean, if you search Boston Celtics on Google right now, and then you revisit it 4 hours later, well, something at some point, at this point in the afternoon, whatever time it is right now, 3-something, that search was rendered. If you search for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and when the Celtics game is on Monday night, it is going to be there at the time. If you search for it right now, it's not going to matter. It's not a coincidence that it appears at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then also happens to appear at 2:27 a.m.
But then you sit there and fully admit that, I made the 6 a.m. searches, but the 2:27 I never did.
Right.
But it literally said by the Celebrate extraction, it's been deleted. Num. Like you deleted it. That's black and white data. You can't change. Science is science. I mean, it's 1 + 1 = 2. It doesn't equal 4.
And
you know what I mean?
the way that
only
a
deleted
wall
search.
file, and the way that a wall file works is it's like a key log, and what a lot of the experts who have said that the search did happen at 227. They keep referring back to the wall files because that is kind of like a temporary database just in case there's some kind of crash on either a computer or a cellular device or something. But they keep deferring back to that if it happened on the wall file at that time, then that's exactly when it happened, because it basically saves every keystroke you make.
Yeah.
So it happened then. And the later searches, you know, if this is true, then the later searches were 100% done to cover her own tracks and to give herself a more innocent
like a
reason
cushion, right.
for searching that.
Exactly. Exactly. We have a go ahead. You want to comment?
I was just going to say, can we add Nanette's meal train link in the chat as well? I've seen a couple people ask for that.
I'll pop it up. If you want to read this question, and then we can go around the room really quick before we get to that. I'm sorry. I saw someone in here earlier. They asked about the civil case. I can tell you this, and both of you probably don't know, and you don't even know because I haven't told you that. Karen's civil attorney was sitting in when Jen McCabe was on the stand.
Oh, no kidding.
I don't know if he's been there through the entire process so far.
Yeah.
But he was there. I actually had the opportunity to meet him, and I'm sorry I forget his name because I met so many people that day, and it was cool. I got to meet David Yanetti's sister, Tanis. She turned around. I go down. I sit in court. I didn't even, like. I saw like people, because I sat in the second row. She was in the front, and she turns around. And she goes, "Oh my God, you're here!" I was like, "I don't know. Am I supposed to be?" And she's like, "I'm so happy to meet you." She's like, "I watch your show all the time. It's great." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Oh, thank you. I appreciate that." So, Tanis, if you're watching, it was very nice meeting you, and I appreciate that. But so Karen's civil attorney is in there actually taking notes.
That's awesome.
Through Jennifer McCabe's testimony. So,
Great.
why don't you read this, and I'm going to drop Nanette's thing in the chat. Hang on one second.
If we can help Nanette, everyone, that'd be fantastic. She's been an avid supporter of Karen Reed and a lot of programs as well out there. And I think anytime someone's having an issue health wise, if we can help them in any way. And I appreciate the generosity of everybody in this movement, by the way, who's helped Karen and helped out each other throughout this whole process. And I think having each other's back is one of the most important. The very foundation of being a Karen Reed supporter, but even beyond that, just being a human, right? We're all good humans. And I thank everybody that's constantly contributing to Karen in any way, shape, or form, and also to Nanette. And just thank you, everyone, for that. I just wanted to say that message.
We were talking about this last night, Lauren, but ever since this indictment came down, the way everybody has come together and helped in whatever way they can, whether it's a blanket making, club or, donations or just help sharing things and helping get the word out. Like this has restored my faith in humanity in a lot of ways.
Yep.
I think Mr. Reed said it the best, and Maz has been there quite a few times when he's spoken at some things. And he said, "I've seen the best in humanity and the worst in humanity." And I think that's true. But I tend to look at the better things that I've seen. I've seen such an outpouring of so many people in this community to come out and support Karen. And even just other causes going, Sandra Birchmore, Enrique Delgado Garcia. And by the way, I have some updated information. Todd McGee is actually out of town right now, but him and I are going to be doing a solo show and getting people caught up on Enrique Delgado Garcia information. So we do have some updates. But just seeing that community and the community here coming together. And honestly, I've met people that I never would have thought that I didn't know Lauren before. I didn't know Mazza. I never knew who you were. And I've met so many awesome people through all of this. And it's been a blessing in that sense too. I think it's brought a great community of people together. And then the standouts, you were part of you went to the standout today. Tell us a little bit about the.
Oh gosh, it was such a
was there a lot of people out there today?
There were. I got to see Jen Root again. Jen and I kind of like you mentioned, just people that you wouldn't really know.
She's been in the studio before too.
Yeah, she's a fantastic person. She and I have gotten close, and obviously, if you guys aren't aware of what's been going on with her, a lot of the same investigators who were involved with Karen Reed, they had a pretty big boo-boo and did something to her brother. Look up the case of Just en Route.
Terrible.
Make sure you look that up because it's a lot of the same people. Morrissey is the one who spearheaded that investigation, closed it in 30 days. It makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Yep.
And she was able to get a lot more traction through. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to whop your microphone.
No,
I do it all the
but
time.
with what happened to Karen, Jen was able then to get a lot more eyes on her brother's case, because it was pretty much just falling flat on its face before. But now that people are seeing, oh, it's not just here, it's also here with Sandra Birchmore, it's also here with Just en Route. So now we're able to show more, just like the defense is trying to prove using Sandra Birchmore's case. We're able to now establish a pattern of an adversarial history with a lot of these same characters, and it's so sad, but at least at the same time, it seems as though each case is able to strengthen the other cases.
And there's many more that we don't even know about yet, that are years and decades old, that are going on now, and that unfortunately will probably still happen if we don't get the corruption out now.
I agree.
A lot of times too, the amplification doesn't come up as much about other matters. Sometimes a story happens and it sometimes comes up as a one-time deal to the public. A one-time occurrence, and they don't really get a trend till a trend starts to establish itself. You see a lot of that when there's complaints about someone doing something, and then all of a sudden a bunch of witnesses or people that were violated or something, come out about stories that had been done years before, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you got one person complaining or filing a complaint, and the next thing, other people from the past are now saying, well, and that's kind of what we see here with the Just en Route situation, was that it's kind of a way to kind of that amplifies Karen Reed, but Karen Reed amplifies that, and they kind of both pair together. So that's a really huge thing.
You want to read this one?
Yep.
Go ahead, read that question.
So there's a question from Crime Sleuthin. If the events of January 29th were so traumatizing for Jen and Carrie, why did they make a special pit stop there the very next day to look around and take children along? Karen Reed has never been back, right?
Yeah.
So
let's see. The events in the January 29th so traumatizing for Jen and Carrie. Why are they making a special pit stop there the very next day to look around? Exactly. That's fucking suspicious. On the way to Lank's house. So, and then she got really jumbled up on that when she was talking about that.
Turning to the scene of the crime.
Yeah, you were there for like 4 minutes. Why are you there? Why are you back there for 4 minutes? I love that they got her GPS data and they nailed her. They nailed her and they put her right at Lank's house. And then you're going to tell me that you're going to go out there and sit out. Oh, I sat outside for 45 minutes in still at the tail end of a blizzard. Okay. And it doesn't matter. Like if you're in your car around here in New England and there's cold weather, you're not sitting in your car. And he's like, he's like the heat full blast. Oh yeah. But yet you run in to use the bathroom, but can't remember if you quite ran in to use the bathroom, which is bullshit. And then you're going to say you just ran in really quick and came out and sat back down in your car. Bullshit.
Yeah. And they would never have offered that information up had it not been for us finally getting that material. And I'm so excited to see Rick Green come back on the stand, because for those of you who are not following all of the pre-trial motions, Hank made some very harsh attempts to get Rick Green removed, to get any evidence of Jen's
Arca, Rick Green, everybody out, because he knows.
Yeah. And so Rick actually ended up his last affidavit that was sent in.
Yeah.
It was a little snarky.
Yeah, it was a little snarky.
It made me happy. So I'm looking forward to seeing that kind of back and forth with Rick. And now he's going to feel a little more vindicated. So is Dr. Russell, who is the dog expert, the dog bite expert, and doctor who
Garrett Wing.
Yes.
I can't wait for Garrett Wing.
Oh yeah. That's going to be great. Garrett Wing's specifically the people who Hank has really tried to tear apart.
Because that's the case.
It is the case.
That's the case. I mean, look at him when he was pissing and moaning in this last hearing, grandstanding, trying to grandstand to Dr. Wolf, grandstanding because he knows the jury's not there. So he ain't going to pull this shit during the jury when the jury's there. And he's going to act mobster, tough guy. I'm going to get it all in for the world to see. And essentially, we went through that whole process because for nothing, which was bullshit.
Yeah.
Just to waste time.
Yeah, it was the balloon popped. It was
And
so rude
and
to
here
him,
we
too.
are. And it's
he
just,
literally sneered too.
Yeah.
He made like
yeah.
that kind of a face. I'm like, are you kidding? And then they happened to zoom right in on him at that time. I wow, what a face.
Thought he was tough.
Dr. Wolf's reactions the whole time. He's just like,
I loved his face. He's just
started
like,
laughing at him. Started
Yeah.
laughing at him. He's like, seriously?
Yeah, the Commonwealth is
It
afraid
was,
of the big bad wolf.
that's the prosecution's. Oh, sorry, Lauren, I apologize.
No,
that's the prosecution's attempt is to dot every I, cross every T. This is why I think Hank Brennan, he's a much more thorough prosecutor than Adam Lally ever was, because he's a lot more. You know, if he's annoying you more, that means he's a superior prosecutor. But they tried everything they could. It's a little. I think it's a little outrageous that the judge allowed this ARCA portion to spill into the trial days.
Yeah.
She should have tried to get this cleared up before they ever had day one of the trial. I thought it was a little ridiculous that they were doing late afternoon sessions on, Daniel Wolf on a voir dire. It was just a little bit ridiculous in that sense. But I'm glad that portion's over. I didn't expect him that he wouldn't be included. I knew that they probably the judge would allow him, and Mark Betterow had said that as much as well. Mike had pointed that out on a recent show, I think Thursday night or Friday night. And it's just they're trying to do anything they can to people that are legitimate threats. And if the truth is on your side, then you really shouldn't be threatened by any of these people at all, because you can allow whatever, like that's the defense's argument. You can allow whatever witness you want. I don't care if it's Bozo the Clown. I don't care if it's a wrestler from the 1980s with a colorful gimmick like Doink the Clown. I don't care who it is. We're going to take on all comers, and we'll defeat any witness that you have, from the defense's perspective against the Commonwealth. But the Commonwealth's perspective has been Dr. Murray Russell's a threat.
Yep.
ARCA's a threat. Yep. Everyone's a threat.
Everyone's a threat.
Everyone's a suspect, like in the movie Scream. But it's just if you're so threatened by them, I was knocked the mic over.
Sorry.
If you're so threatened by them, then you're showing it more by trying to contest against them. And like you said, not on jury, not all the jury is watching, but it makes them look weak because they don't, because it tells me, okay, you're trying to do what you can to get the judge to not allow them in as witnesses, but you're also telling me that you're legitimately threatened by them because you are trying to stop them from being witnesses who can testify, because you don't feel personally that you and any other prosecutor or any other member of the Commonwealth can find information to weigh against a Dr. Wolf or a Dr. Rentschler or a Dr. Murray Russell that can defeat them. And realistically, this is probably why they only had so many witnesses for the defense last time, because again, they felt that they could probably wrap this whole thing up really quickly. And to their credit, they should have, if not for the way it all ended, obviously.
And they had to fight tooth and nail to get those 6 witnesses in too.
Sure. Exactly.
I just love I love Wolf when he kept saying, I think he said like 3 or 4 times, like, yeah, but you guys could have reached out to us too. The reason they weren't going to reach out, and I've talked about this on my show, the reason they weren't going to reach out is because the information they had was so detrimental to the Commonwealth's case, and they weren't going to spin that hamster wheel, because then they'd have a lot of explaining to do. And the simple terms is this, is that Karen Reed's vehicle did not hit John O'Keefe, and John O'Keefe did not come in any contact with Karen Reed's vehicle. They don't want that in their testimony, their presentation.
It reminds me of, do you remember the movie with Jim Carrey, Liar, Liar?
Yeah.
And he says to the judge, Your Honor, I object. And the judge says, well, why is that? And he goes, it's devastating to my case.
That's literally Hank.
I'm kicking my own ass. Do you mind?
The color of this pen
is blue.
When the pen turns on him.
Such a great movie. That's a good one.
It is. But I mean, it's so it's so relevant.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you want to let everybody know what we're doing, we just drop the defense fund link in there.
So we are trying to raise some funds for Karen's defense today in honor of Britt and I having our 32nd birthday, both the same week. So if you could donate either $32, $3.20, or whatever you want. And also please consider donating to Nanette's meal train. She's having some complications from her cancer journey.
Yeah, and I'll post both links when this video posts after we get off the live. Let's add up a little bit more. So we have $15 from Jackie. She says LTL fundraiser, standing in solidarity with you from Toronto, Canada. Thank you so much. And then Melissa gave $13 to Lucky 13 LTL birthday fundraiser. $320 for Lauren, $320 for Britt, $660 for my husband's 66th birthday, which is today, is free Karen Reed. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Let me refresh here and see if we have any more. Nothing right now, but we'll keep dropping the link, and we're at the total of $132.02 right now. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
We want to do the cake now.
We can do cake now.
Or do we want to wait till the
I don't
end?
know if I can get. What do you want me to do?
Light
up these candles.
Yeah, we can just do it like we did
Light
for
it
your
up.
birthday, really
Okay.
quick, and then we can each
Sounds
have
good.
a slice while we keep chatting.
Sounds good.
If you want a slice.
I have no problem with having cake. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that
same.
much.
I know. I was just thinking. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whichever ones you want.
Yeah, there we go.
Brian got a cake. He says, "Happy birthday, Lauren." It was so nice.
Right.
And I didn't know that cake was.
Too, so that's
Oh, well, that's okay. But I didn't know there was a cake here already, so I picked one up for me and Britt. So now we each have
There's
our own
two
cake.
cakes.
There's
Looks
two
like that.
cakes
Looks
now.
like that two is harder to break than the tail light on the vehicle.
Yeah.
Scott, just to acknowledge what you said in the chat, that was really funny.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He's making more liar references.
Oh.
Yeah. Shout out to Scott. We love Scott.
Yeah,
Scott's been on the
Scott's
front
awesome.
lines.
Yeah.
Scott's been out there, rain or shine, hot
Yeah.
weather, cold weather, or in
Mhm.
between, fall, spring, doesn't
He's a-
matter. Scott's been out there,
A
standing
true
out all the
justice
time.
warrior.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Good.
The sign with the stick that's been signed.
Yeah,
by
right, yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember the first time I signed
Love
it
it.
last year. It was there's almost no room on the thing. It was like,
Yeah.
where do I find?
That thing should be in a museum somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Serious.
I just want to
Oh.
acknowledge Alan Warner,
Thank you,
$50
Alan.
super sticker. Thank you
Alright.
so much. We really appreciate that.
I don't know who's blowing this one out. I guess we're gonna say
You do
happy
it, Lauren.
birthday to
I'll do
Britt
it. Okay.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
do it for me.
All right. I'll do it for
We're
both
gonna
of
do
us.
happy birthday to
Yeah.
Britt and Lauren. All right, everybody, get ready. We're gonna sing
Okay.
here.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
1,
Plug your
2,
ears.
3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lauren and Britt. Happy birthday to you.
Thank
All
you
right,
guys.
there
you
Yay.
I was gonna go with Britt and Lauren in this line, but you went with Lauren and Britt. You tried to orchestrate it. I appreciate that. That was good.
There
yeah.
was a
Now
lot
the
of eye
sprinklers go
contact.
off.
Yeah, I know.
that would be awful.
A shower in LTL studio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No big deal.
But I know. I love that our birthdays are like a few days apart.
I
That's
know,
great.
and
Yeah.
we're turning the
Same
same
here.
age.
Same
We
age.
were
Woo-hoo.
born 3 days apart from each
Yeah,
other.
3 days apart.
This will be clipped by the trolls online.
Oh yeah.
Mazza and LTL sing out of tune. No.
You guys can help yourself.
Yeah.
You want me to cut you?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, if you don't. I mean, I would do it, but
I'll do that.
kind of hard.
Sounds good to me.
I've been waiting for some cake.
Yeah.
There you go. No, as soon as the cake was brought out, I'm like, I want that cake.
Yeah. Please have some. Please have
Yeah.
some. Let's all enjoy some cake. But yeah, everyone in the chat, thank you for the birthday wishes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, no, Britt and I had a
There
really
you
good
go.
time last night. We went out with Beatrice from Calling All Beings.
Yes.
We saw the True Crime Junkie podcast live.
I'm gonna sit it out for
You're gonna
now.
sit it out?
I'm good.
That's
All right,
fine.
I'm not gonna.
I'll take a lot of insulin later.
Okay, you got it. You got it.
But it was a really good time, and we kept saying like the parallels. But so the case that they covered on the show last
Mhm.
night. Thank you.
Yep.
The parallels of the way that the things were corrupt and covered up, and people were framed. The parallels were insane, and I found it notable that the police in that case, Peggy Hittich, I can't remember.
Heitrich. Hang on.
Hettich.
I
I
took
forget
a
how to
picture
pronounce
of
her
it.
name, but the FBI was actually in cahoots with the police and helped
Mhm.
them cover it up and said, also, if this blows up in your face, we'll play stupid to it.
Yes.
Gee, we haven't heard that before,
I
right?
know.
No kidding.
That's why it's like I don't really take too much weight. I don't give too much weight to the fact that the federal investigation apparently found nothing, because we've seen it in other cases where the feds help. They help too, you know?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I
and that
mean,
case last night really showcased that.
there's bad apples in every barrel, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
you know, and one thing that really I feel gets misconstrued with a lot of Karen Reed supporters, like we are not anti law enforcement people. In
Right.
fact, I'm a very strong law enforcement supporter. I've been very supportive of law enforcement in my local community. I'm from Florida, but when we have these kinds of things take place and it's allowed and people are not held accountable, it drives a wedge
Yes.
between law enforcement and the general public that
Yeah.
they're supposed to protect. So, you know, and this kind of thing just perpetuates the parts of the public that maybe historically have not trusted the police, or who may have had a personal experience with the police that will make them uncooperative moving forward. So we can have a better relationship with our law enforcement if we're able to hold these bad players accountable. And I mean, I acknowledge that not all of police is like this. I'm very much aware of it. But when we're not bringing these people to account, this is what adds more to people who maybe don't feel that way about law enforcement, who don't trust law enforcement. This is adding to their lack of trust in them. I want there to be a good relationship.
But to piggyback off of that, it's what's the saying? A few bad apples spoils the bunch. And if you don't remove those bad apples and you don't hold those bad apples accountable, it's going to affect the entire group.
Yeah, it becomes the culture.
It does. Everybody becomes doubtful of that, because if they're not holding their own accountable, why should they be trusted? You know, that's the mentality that develops.
Yeah, we need to do better in our communities. You know, we need to have transparency in the people that are here to protect us. And I say protect us. You know, that's what we always hear. And I think a lot of it, the tough thing for people to realize, until they start really digging deep into this case and see how deep it goes, is that how are we all raised? We're all raised to believe in police officers. They're there to help you.
Right.
Okay.
That's how
but
I was
there
raised.
is exactly. But there is a lot of corruption out there, not just only happening here in Massachusetts, but across our nation.
Oh yeah.
Because law enforcement agencies and agencies that are law enforcement agencies and other agencies that are here to protect us is that they've gotten away with it for so long.
Yes.
And I said this, and many guests on this panel have said this, that this case will change so much. And it is. I mean, people are starting to wake up. They're starting to wake up and look in. And this is what I always say too. Not only is it changing our look in law enforcement, and again, I respect law enforcement. I have a gentleman that comes on my show pretty regularly. Mr. Todd McGee is here all the time.
We love Todd.
I love Todd. I've blossomed an awesome friendship with him, a very trusting friendship. So there are good police officers out there that are in our community, and he's pissed. I mean, he wore the badge for over 18 years. He's pissed. He's pissed of what's going on because
Sergeant Murphy,
it puts a negative stain on what they did that was the correct thing in the time that they were in policing. 100%. And Todd said that he's called out officers multiple times when he wore the badge. If you do that, I will call you out, or I will go to the direct people that police us. And then you can explain it. But my bigger overall point in this as well too is that not only are we seeing change in people waking up to what's going on in our policing, but we're also getting people to wake up and look what's going on in their communities, meaning Canton Select Board. That's a big thing. Those are people that run Canton. This is what I always talk about as well too. You know, everybody worries so much about like the national election. Okay. We have to be in tune to who our president's going to be, but you have to look at the people that are deep inside that are running your community, because they're the ones that run our police departments. Okay.
They have the closest hand and the heaviest hand on what happens to you and what happens to your taxes. They have the most say.
Pay attention to your local elections, people.
Right.
So
and that's
important.
my point, what I'm getting to. Pay attention to the people that are working for you in your community. If it's not working, then you need to make a change. Stop fucking voting on Democrat and Republican, okay? Just look at the people as an entity and say, okay, I've had this person in there for 40 years and it ain't working the way I want. Maybe I should try this person over here or get a different perspective. Again, I don't want to debate politics. I'm sure everybody has their political views here, everybody on the panel, but I'm just saying, vote for the person that you think is going to do the most change in your community, and make sure that these motherfuckers don't have ties to the people that are on these select boards and hearing boards, and just get them out. And we've seen a perfect example of this with Canton. It is changing, and it's a good change, and it's a celebrated change.
One seat at a time.
Yeah.
That's right.
And maybe background check the people you vote for to make sure they didn't kill somebody in a driving accident.
No kidding. Or Morrissey is up for re-election soon.
Yeah. 2026. Juna Perkins. That's who you need to vote for.
Yep. Well, I mean, just the fact that she's not Morrissey, I'm sure is enough for a lot of people.
That's enough for some people. Yep.
But Morrissey has just sat and sat and sat as the incumbent for years and years. And prior to that as well, I mean, the guy barely had a single challenger for any of his seats in public office.
Like
he has spent
10 years it was.
Well, no, he has spent 49 years in public office to some extent.
It's like Ted Kennedy.
Yeah.
It's like Ted Kennedy. It's the same thing. And he killed a girl.
Yeah.
He flipped a car and killed someone.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that poor girl drowned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Chappaquoddy?
No.
Check out the movie.
Okay.
The government came in and hit him and got him off. It was Martha's Vineyard. I think it was Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard.
I've been to the spot where it was Martha's
Vineyard.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And that guy spent like over 40 years in the Senate. I think it was the Senate.
And imagine how her family felt, okay, we're not going to get justice because someone important
because it was
took her life
with a big name.
Kennedy. Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
Morrissey started as a state representative and then he became a state senator.
Yep.
And in that entire amount of time, so he started his public office career in 1976. So 49 years now.
I wasn't even born yet.
Right. Well, but he's been there.
Yeah.
He has only had 4 elections in which he was opposed in any way.
Crazy.
And there's an election for his types of positions that he's had every 2 years.
Oh God.
So only 4 elections was he ever opposed.
It's passing. It's just, well, he's the guy, he's been there. Let's just keep passing the buck down the line.
Yeah.
That's
And
what it
then,
comes.
and then the police unions are allowed to donate to his campaign.
Yes.
Yeah.
How is that legal here?
That's crazy.
I think that people get complacent with local elections because if they're not being impacted, if they're not noticing things that are negatively impacting them, they're just like, oh, we'll just keep things as they are, or they just don't go out and vote at all. And then we end up getting people in office way longer than they should be there.
Right. And they feel like they have a level of invincibility because they've been there so long. Nothing ever changes, and they hold up a seat, and then they start to bring in they promote their buddies and endorse their buddies.
That's all it
also
is.
run the next thing
all the
you
handshakes.
You have boards or offices infested with people that are like-minded, and there's almost no true diplomaticness in those boards. And you're seeing a change in Canton right now where one by one they're plucking seats, and we'll see what happens in Norfolk County as well with Morrissey next year. It'll be a pretty big task, but I think with a lot of awareness, especially with the Karen Reed case. And someone said to me recently too that Morrissey may make sure that this Karen Reed trial doesn't go to next year because it's an election year next year, and that might be more eyes on him and more aggravation for voters to want to come out and vote him out of office. So this whole thing, someone said that to me. I can't remember.
That's a good point.
Someone said this to me. That wasn't my point originally, but someone said
That's
that to me. Yeah. They want him out of here before, they want the Karen Reed case out of here because if it gets deferred, it's going to be next year.
Yeah.
No sooner than probably.
And knowing how all the locals feel about this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know when that happened before?
Yeah.
Commonwealth versus Sean Ellis. It was a 1993 crime, but what ultimately,
I know this name, Sean Ellis. I know this name.
You've got to look this case up. So he was tried and tried and tried again. They could not convict him until the 3rd trial. It was a mistrial every time, hung jury.
They made a movie about it, I
Trial
think.
4.
Trial 4.
It's actually a docuseries.
A docuseries.
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
And I've looked a little bit independently as well, but you can get a lot of information on like the evidence that was likely planted and things like that. Now, after he served 20 years wrongfully based on a farce conviction, the DA's office, after his conviction got overturned, said that they were going to charge him a 4th
It's crazy.
time. A 4th freaking time.
Wow.
But guess what? The victim, like John O'Keefe, was Boston police.
Yep.
So, there was a lot of political pressure to bring all of it to some kind of a conclusion, right? Now, what was happening, though, at the same time was a district attorney election. And this whole new girl, the incumbent got booted out. And this new girl was about to come in. And so, and then right after this new girl gets elected, the sitting DA decided to retire like 4 months early. So there was some kind of interim guy.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, and this is that was the stinger at the end that really got me. They decided during this interim DA time that they were going to put forth a press conference and say, okay, we are dropping the charges against Sean Ellis, but they wanted to get that last word in. And so what they said was, the reason we're dropping the charges is, because a lot of the evidence has degraded over the past 20 something years, but we want to make sure all of you know that Sean Ellis is still factually culpable. He's just going to walk now. He did serve 20 years, but he's going to walk now. And and there was nothing that the defense could do about it, really, because, well, at least not right away. At least he didn't have to go back to prison. He didn't have to go through a fourth trial. He eventually was able to sue them.
Wow.
But there's a lot to be seen in that case that parallels with Karen Reed, and it's in Massachusetts. It's Suffolk County.
There's another movie, and it's coming to my mind, and I can't think of who the actress is. I think it might be Hilary Swank, and it's a Boston-based movie. It's a true story. Her brother ends up getting arrested for something that he didn't do, and it's a total setup, but she actually ends up becoming a lawyer and spends like 8 or 10 years trying to get her law degree, and then goes on to be his lawyer.
Oh my God.
And this is a true story, and ends up fighting for him. And I think eventually they get him out of prison, but it was like a long corruption case here in Massachusetts. And maybe the people in the chat will know.
Wow.
But that's it. I'll look up a little bit more about it. And it's either Julia Roberts or Hilary Swank. It's one of them. And it's something here that happened in Boston. Let me just pull up these super chats and just read these off real quick. Alan Warner, thank you so much. Kick ass. $50 super sticker. I appreciate that. We have Tracy that's become a new YouTube member. So enjoy that membership. Yay. And you can go down to my homepage and scroll all the way to the bottom and see all my members only content. I try to get a members only in at least once or twice a month. So you'd be privileged to that. We have Glitter Beauties. Thank you so much for the 10. Says happy birthday. Both praying for real justice for Karen and John. May the real culprits see the jail cell soon. Yes. I love that. I love that. And Sue, thank you so much for the 5. She says Jen is the visualization of our nightmares. She and
pray because
thank you. I can never read it. That's why.
Okay. Pray because the good energy neutralizes the bad /evil. Fear / bad thoughts about it / her feeds evil. Thanks all.
Love that. Deborah with a $20 super sticker. She says, happy birthday, young ladies. Thank you for being here today. Yeah, this has been like a super fun live.
Great time.
Karen checking in with $20 says, happy birthday. Hi, Mazza. We have a wonderful Sunday, and I hope some of you, if not, I can't read it. It's
okay.
Too small.
It's okay. Happy birthday. Hi, Mazza. Have a wonderful Sunday, and I hope some, if not all of you, will be there this Thursday outside of the buffer zone. Huge standout. Aiden will be outside the courthouse all week.
Oh, awesome.
Awesome.
I'm here till Tuesday.
Yes. Here till Tuesday. Oops, what did I do? I screwed that up. I want to get rid of that. So what do you think? And actually, someone said this earlier in the chat. What do you think is going to be the next witness after we get through the MSP crime lab technician? And forgive me, I forgot her name, so I know I'll probably get killed here in the chat.
No one knows her name.
Hilary Swank was the one.
Conviction. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it was a major release. It might be a made for TV or HBO movie. I think it's back in the early 2000s or late 90s.
I heard Jessica Hyde rumors earlier in the chat too today. I think she might be on
next.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. It's crazy. I think it's still going to be a very, very long trial.
Oh, it's going to be a long trial.
It's going to be a long trial.
It'll be interesting to see how long jury deliberation goes this time around as well. So the defense is going to, someone I saw posted on X that the jury better know what reasonable doubt is. But I think that, the defense is going to have I think you're going to see a change up once the defense actually direct examines their witnesses as well. And I think in the closing arguments, you're going to see a big argument from Alan Jackson about what is needed to be done in terms of reasonable doubt, what the jury's duty is, and really doing going the extra level this time around to educate the jury on what they're responsible. That's why I think 10 to 12 weeks minimum as well.
I think so too.
I think honestly, I think in fairness, this trial should be 6 to 8 weeks with a lot less witnesses, but that's just my opinion.
Trim the
but
fat.
I agree, 10 to 12.
Trim the fat.
But yeah, it's crazy. One of the most notable things from this trial recently was the fact that the taillight was referred to originally by the witness as cracked.
Yep.
Yeah.
With missing pieces. But yet the taillight is clearly, quote unquote, as determined by the police, shattered. Why would anybody call something cracked? You yourself just cracked the number 2 on that birthday candle. I wouldn't say that you shattered it, but I would say that you cracked it or broke it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't describe that as shattered. There's a big difference.
And remember, when Jen got there, didn't she say that she saw pieces of the taillight?
She did at the end of her.
How did she see pieces of the taillight if it hadn't been blown over by the snow yet?
Right.
Something that I find interesting is that they only found taillight at the scene, and that, I would think if a taillight shattered, some of it kind of falls inside the little light area.
Correct.
When she drives away, it might fall out, or when she hit John's car in the driveway.
Good point too.
I don't think they found any taillight pieces in the driveway, did they?
Or how about
No.
in the street, like
Not
going
anywhere.
down the
Travel,
road?
yeah.
Yep. You'd think that there would be some residual that was found, but
I'm excited to see the accident reconstructionists who looked at One Meadows.
Yep.
Specifically, because we're going to find out, hopefully for sure. I mean, I already know what the answer is.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out, hopefully for sure, and the jury will find out for sure whether Karen did back into Officer O'Keefe's Chevy Traverse.
it sure looks like it.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
It did.
Here's something that I picked up on today, and I went back and listened to Robert Alessi's argument about ARCA. About 3 or 4 minutes in, he said that we were waiting for a report to conclude. Was it Canoni that said it? Waiting for a report to conclude so they could start finishing their findings. I'm wondering if we're going to get a rendering this time, a video rendering.
I think that'd be
and
helpful.
have them show what their experimentation data is, because that's what they do. Like if you go to the YouTube site, it's all renderings. It's all video renderings of like crash reenactment.
Yeah.
I want to see a video.
Uh-huh.
I want some fucking video this time.
Sounds like a job for Microdots.
Microdots.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I'm like,
I
I
want to
love
see a video.
I love Microdots content because it puts a visual to the things that you hear, which makes it a lot easier to comprehend what the argument is and what they're saying happened.
Yeah. Sue, thanks for the 2. She said, love you guys. Thanks for especially who can't be there. Well, when we're all on this live together with all these amazing people and everybody in the chat, we are all together. We're all doing this for a good cause. So let's do this. We'll go around the room, do some quick wrap up, and we're going to go get a meal of food together and hang out.
Woo!
Enjoy some time together. Melissa G, thank you so much for becoming a new YouTube member. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll go to Lauren first for her final word here. And my buddy. Happy birthday, by the way. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, I know. It's nice to be back from California. I had a great time. But it's also always nice to come home, and be back in the studio. And thank you for the cake and the card.
Of course.
It's very generous of you.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Final word.
So, I mean, we're only 2 weeks in. We have a lot more time to go, unfortunately. And I will just be interested to continue to see the differences and the similarities between the trial 1 and 2 and witness testimonies. I think that everybody here brought up some really good points today. And I mean, we got a long road ahead of us, but I am hopeful. I am hopeful that trial 1 helped the defense team learn where they need to tweak things. I think that I've heard people say many times, every jury is different. And so hopefully that this jury is able to, kind of see through the distractors, the actual distractors.
Right.
Like I said, the defense, I think they're going to present things a little differently this time based on what they learned from the first jury in the first trial. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Britt, final word?
Sure. I have been very surprised to see the different order in which the Commonwealth has put these witnesses.
It's interesting.
And, it makes me wonder is the Commonwealth trying to kind of scramble the brains of the jurors as well? Because so far, what you can see through the storyline coming from the witnesses is Karen Reed backed her car into Officer John O'Keefe. Oh, by the way, Jennifer McCabe, and the Google search is part of the Commonwealth's case in chief.
Yeah.
Not chase in but anyway. So, I'm really hoping that the jurors are able to really see through all this, and that the defense, more so than they did maybe in the first trial, is able to keep bringing things back to reasonable doubt, because that is all you need for an acquittal.
Of course.
Yes.
You don't have to prove anything from the defense side.
Yeah.
So all you need as a juror to rule not guilty is reasonable doubt.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that through all this chaos and confusion that the Commonwealth is putting forward and presenting, that the defense is able to at least drive home to the jury.
Yeah.
We have everything we need. We got the points on the board for reasonable doubt. They did not bring the ball all the way to the end zone for beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yep.
So please rule accordingly.
Yep. They did not meet their
burden. Yeah.
Burden. That's the
Yeah.
word. Really quick before we go to Mazda,
Yeah.
I just wanted to, Haley Cove is my friend.
Oh, cool.
So I wanted to say hi. And I know she's watching with her mom, Melissa, and her mom, Rachel, and her aunt, Melissa. So I just want to say hi.
Hi,
they're
Haley.
dedicated Karen Reed supporters. So
Awesome.
I saw her name and I was like, oh, I got excited. So hi, Haley.
Well, thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Mazda, go ahead. You got it.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Good to have you back, buddy. You
appreciate
need
it.
your
Yeah.
voice in this freaking
I know.
movement, dude.
I know.
Like, come on, man.
Glad
It's
you're
like-
back.
The return
so
of
good to have you back.
Mazda.
I love it.
My
I
show's
love it.
still not back. I don't know if I'm going to. I actually pondered maybe doing a show Saturday. I don't know. I'm going to probably be more of a guest this time around than a host,
Yeah.
I think. So
Well,
I
you're
just-
always welcome here, buddy. You know that.
Yeah, I just want to participate in this again. I kind of was having some thoughts about coming back about 3 weeks before I appeared on your show about coming back. And I pretty much thought I was done altogether. And I think I kind of told a few people, you and Mike specific, I'm done. It's all over. It's just the case is going to carry out itself and I'm just be in the background. But I don't know, something inside my head kind of got back in there and said, you've come this far. Why don't you, at least if you just show up on some shows here and participate, just continue to spread the word and give your opinion and all that. That'd be great. I just kind of felt a deep rooted conviction in my heart, body, and soul, or mind, or whatever, to just to come back, and even if it's on a limited basis this time, do it. And we kind of had an idea to do a show this week, and Britt's up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Love
This
having
is
you
awesome.
guys here.
Lauren?
We're happy you're back in,
I know.
especially in studio.
Oh yeah.
Great to have your voice back
Yeah,
around.
exactly. So it should be good. The defense is cleaning up on the Commonwealth witnesses. They're going to carry this thing and all the way to the finish line. And it's great to see Robert Alessi in. I'm still a little sad to see Mark Betterow not as an attorney on Karen Reed's defense team, but at the same time, it's a win and a loss either way. Either you get Betterow on shows or you don't. Either you get Betterow in court or you don't. But either way, Betterow's in this as well, and he's done a great job, and all the other content creators. Boots on the ground. Shout out to Boots on the ground.
Yes.
These people have been out there, and a lot of them have been sitting in a very congested buffer zone that has been very uncomfortable compared to the way it was last year. And then additionally, when you have just the police environment around the court the way it is, it can be a little tough. But just everyone that's going out there day in and day out, Scott McGinnis, shout out to you as well.
That is awesome.
They're the background of the backbone.
The
of
backbone.
This, the backbone
Everybody's
of
doing
this.
their thing. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what this is all about. And we'll continue to do what we need to do, raising money as well to everyone that participated. Brian will give you a shout out, I'm sure, in a moment, a total calculation. But just continue to donate to Karen Reed's Defense Fund. And then beyond that, help out Aiden as well. Obviously, they're going after him still, and in a lot of ways, just any ticky-tack way they can right now. He can't even run a show without having a new charge being against him, which is kind of a little bit difficult to see right now. And again, we're all just pushing through this whole thing together, and I think it's been the power of everyone that's free Karen Reed or collectively just a supporter of whatever, across the board. It's been a matter of being a team and even an extended family at this particular point. And say some prayers tonight for Karen and her team. I know there's a prayer group every morning. It's out there praying for Karen before she walks in the court. Continue to do that. and continue to just do what you do best and participate however you guys can. And we're going to keep moving this thing forward, and we're going to hope and pray and trust and have faith in a stronger result this particular time around. So I'll say free Karen Reed, and it's a pleasure being on the show and joining all you folks today as well.
Yeah, it was great to have you. And also send out some prayers for Nanette too. She really needs them.
Yeah, I'll drop the link one more time before we get out. If you want to read these three here.
Yeah, so Karen, 32, lady's birthday today. Thank you. And for you, Mr. Reed, Anonymous, $15. Deborah, $32. Thank you guys so much for donating. And it looks like our grand total is coming to $258.02 for Karen today. So that's a good number that we got donated. I'm glad. So thank you to everybody who donated. Yeah, it was a great show.
One more thing to that. Another thing that's so important to donate is a lot of these funds get used up. What we've seen happen to Karen Reed's defense team is she's had to fly out a lot of these experts like ARCA, and she's had to fly out a lot of experts that have been called back over and over again. Dr. Marie Russell. These funds are very helpful to the defense team and Karen to be able to get these witnesses out for the trial. So it's a big investment that you're making to help the defense team and Karen do what they need to do to get these people on the stand and testify. So again, even if you can consider it a smaller amount, $3, $5, that's contributing to the whole. Many people have made $5 donations over the years, and that still lifts it up over time. Not every donation can be $100 or $500 or $1,000 or more, but they all add together, and that's the most important thing. So we continue to help Karen, and by that, getting those witnesses on the stand for her is a huge thing. So please consider that as well. If you've never made a donation, you're a first-time donator. Again, please consider making a donation to Karen Reed's defense team today. Before the show ends, you don't put it aside and you forget about it. Hopefully, and hopefully you don't forget about it, I should say. Hopefully you remember I mean. But we're continuing to raise a lot of money, and for a lot of naysayers that say Karen Reed's supporters are not doing a significant job anymore, I just want you to look at that total of amount of money raised right now. It's $925. I just have a gut feeling that about another $200 something is going to be raised in the next moment here. That's we're almost collectively as a whole raised $1 million. And that's only going to the website. That's not other means that money can be raised for Karen through other means. So it's just on the website alone. So we've done a great job. Everyone should stand up, applaud yourself, pat yourself on the back, and high five your neighbors.
So I just matched the total donations that we made today. So I put the
Brandy just donated
250
up
there.
Thank you, Brandy.
I know.
I love Brandy. And let me say this too.
Thank you, Brandy.
Add another
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. So Karen, she came on the Glarers stream the night before opening statements. And she specifically said and began to get emotional talking about it. There's one person who she notices the donation of every 2 weeks and donates like $1.67 or $1.47, $1 and change every 2 weeks. And she notices and remembers his the most because that's his means and that's what he can donate. And she appreciates that just as much, if not more, than she appreciates, the bigger donations. So even if you guys 143, okay. Thank you, Lois. So she notices every single one. She notices every message left with the donations. She reads everything. So it all means a lot to her. Quite literally every penny means everything to her.
143 is like the back, remember T9 texting. 143 is for I love you. So that's really symbolic. But these donations also just help Karen survive. You know what I mean? Because she can't work. She's had her license stripped. She's had her health insurance stripped from her. And her family is putting their all into this. So you're helping her defense, but you're just also helping her survive, So we have a total of $548.04 today raised for our birthday. It was more than I was hoping for. So I'm really happy. Thank you for matching the donation.
Course.
That was Brian is always thoughtful. He's always giving back, and we appreciate that and we love him for it. So.
I do it for the community. I do it for the people in the community and to help this family out that needs it more than I do right now. And That's why I do it. So,
Yep.
look, I want to thank my special guest for coming in the studio today.
Thank you.
No
guys.
introduction to that man right there, because everybody knows who he is. But Mark Mazzamedia, you can check him out at Mazzamedia on YouTube at MAZZAMEDIA. I love saying that. And you can also check him out on X at the same tag. And we have Britt Happens that came all the way up from Florida today to come hang out here in Massachusetts. Well, the other day. And come out and hang out in Massachusetts. They did the
we got to hang out last night.
hang out with Lauren last night. She did a
fun
standout
time.
today, so she's gotten the full scope here. And we wanted to bring her into the LTL experience here too, and
thanks
host
for
her
having me.
and let everybody know where you're on your platforms.
Sure. So you can find my YouTube channel at Britt Happens. I'm sure you may have seen Mazza on one or two of my streams. And then on Twitter, X, I'm Britt Happens, just with a 3 instead of an E, because someone thought of that name already. It's someone with like a flower as a profile picture. I was like, who
That's
is
not
it
me.
even? Yeah. But yeah, it's just a 3 instead of an E if you're looking for me on Twitter. So you can find me there and on YouTube and on TikTok as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Great. All right. Well, we're going to hit the outro. Thank you all so much for watching here today. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm almost at 42,000 subscribers. We need like 200 more people. Hit that like button, smash it, comment down below. I had this is such a fun show today.
I had a great time with
you
guys today.
It was a lot. It was very, very fun.
I've had a great birthday weekend.
Yeah, it's been fun so far.
Really
We're gonna go eat a meal of fuel.
A meal of fuel.
There you go. And hang out here.
Fuel with a meal of food.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great day. Have a great Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Todd McGee. We're gonna do the Monday wind up. And I hope everybody will join us. Take care. Until then, peace.